Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot. Wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this. Go up. You know it's all net when it go.
What is up, everybody?
What's up, guys?
Back to Off the Grid. It's been a little bit, but
it's been a minute.
We're back with a banger, I think, this time. Here
Big
in the
bang.
studio tonight is my boy, Bucky Lasek. What's up, Bucky?
Hell
What's
yeah.
up, fellas? If I get winded, it's Race's fault.
That
It's actually
go-kart
Railcar's
racing will get
fault.
you, dude.
Dude,
Go-kart racing's brutal.
I sent it off. What? Where were we? CalSpeed sent it off right. Like, went out with a bang.
Yeah, it was good. The
Two
last
bangs.
CalSpeed race ever, Bucky tried knocking the wall down.
I didn't like where
Successfully,
they
I think.
I didn't like where they put the tire barrier. So
Tried to move it.
The sport cart, dude. The sport cart came over on me heavy. So I paid the price. Yeah.
It's nuts, man. What a bummer for the karting community to lose a place like CalSpeed. I know everyone like bitches about it's just a bumpy parking lot, but what a cool place. And I think that K1 track out there is going to be pretty dope, though, once that gets finished.
Yeah, but it's going to be also, it's not going to have the roots that CalSpeed had. But it's going to be nice for people. It's going to be a beautiful track. You know, it's going to have like some good pit areas and stuff. But CalSpeed was kind of like old school, you know, like it was a parking lot. It was containers, you know, it was if you karted, you know, you loved it. You know what I mean? It was better than Adams, better than Paris, bigger. So it was fun. It created a good vibe.
Yeah, for sure. I know, Race, you grew up, you know, not close to CalSpeed, but had to have been there quite a bit as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been the kind of the staple in SoCal since really it was, I think it started around 04, 05, and I'd been racing there since 05. But it was where realistically, like all the regionals went, all the big nationals went there. There was always good club racing with heavy hitters. It was like the East Coast has got GoPro Motorplex. It's got all the heavy hitters, and the West Coast has, CalSpeed karting. So, they did cool stuff like the Machismo deal, like for us to be able to go out there and race 12 hours against rental carts in a Briggs. It's a super cool deal. I've had Bucky's been out there with us twice now, and every time we've had a blast, even though he ends up getting hurt and having to take Epsom salt baths and CBD baths.
I got so served up. It's been, 5 days?
Yeah.
5 days, and I still can't sleep on my right side.
You said you were having trouble driving the rally car today, dude. That's crazy to be so beat up.
I had a hard time driving my wife's car to the airport.
No,
and then I tried to do some laps. I brought my rib protector to Austin, put my rib protector on, which I actually forgot to put on during the race because Steve came in probably a few minutes early. So I was frantically putting my helmet on, pulled my suit up, forgot to put my rib protector on, went out there, did like 30 minutes, and then I ran into the tires by a sport cart. And then some other dude, 2 carts back, just freaky T-bones me. I think he was probably about 30 feet past the braking zone, and I was off track already from the spin. T-boned me at probably 35. I don't know.
Yeah, I have the video right here. You can just watch it. It's on my cell phone, but hey, it'll work.
Oh man, do we have to watch it?
Yeah, we do.
So that's braking zone. Clip the tires.
Oh.
And then look at this guy.
And then his rental car straight to the right front.
Bro, that thing has to be at least 500 pounds of the driver in it, too. That couldn't have felt good.
Oh, at least.
No, that twisted the whole frame.
Yeah, it's junk. It pushed the left front back a quarter inch.
Oh.
It's got steer in it now. So it's
so
toast.
imagine my spine and my ribs if that guy did that to the front left
with no rib vest.
With no rib vest.
Yeah. I don't even think a rib vest would have helped you on that one, bro. That was
you should have learned, dude, because 2 years ago Tanner did that on Friday. Remember, we were testing and Tanner gets in the car. I don't need a rib vest. 2 sessions, broken rib.
That's different though. He didn't forget it. He chose not to wear it. I forgot it.
That's fair.
It's
You get a
different.
pass, dude.
Like, there's no way I would choose to go out there without a rib vest. Like, that just is.
Didn't you just turn what, 50?
Yeah,
10
my
days
body
ago?
hates me. Okay, get this. I had COVID 3 weeks ago, right? Got better. 4 days after getting better from COVID, testing negative, I had my birthday party. I haven't skated in 3 weeks because a week prior to that, I was doing some Subaru events at LA Auto Show. So I haven't skated in 3 weeks. I got COVID. I finally get to skate again in front of all my friends. I had a party. And then the day after the party, I go get tacos with my daughters, and I get food poisoning. So I'm down for another 3 or 4 days. I told Rich, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this kart race. Literally, I got good enough, healthy enough to show up. I missed practice because I had to go to a track day prior. So I had to drive all the way to Chuckwalla, did a track day on my car, came back, next day, went and raced, and just got served up. My body hates me. Like,
What a span of a couple of weeks, dude. That sounds like you had a brutal month.
yeah, I definitely need like some time off. And then I come here for a rally sprint, and my body's just like, no. So tomorrow I'll just be announcing and kind of helping out. I can't.
Ah, no.
I can't drive. There's
So
no
what's
way.
supposed to be going on tomorrow? What do you like? Where are you at in the racing world nowadays?
I just kind of do it for fun.
Mhm.
I do a lot of stage rallies. I haven't done a rally cross in a while. I'm hoping to maybe do like a nitro rally cross and maybe a Can-Am or even the RXCs, the rally electric cars. But if that doesn't work out, I still want to do some stage rallies because I really like doing stage rallies. It's because you don't have like people crashing you out. You know what I mean? It's just you in the car, and if the car breaks, you get out and fix it, and you just race on. So this is a rally sprint. It's something new. It's basically like autocross, but you're doing it through a stage, and we're gonna run it forwards, backwards, and I believe in this one because it's so long. Here at Rally Ready, you can possibly have a co-driver. I think you can have a co-driver, so it'll help you out to kind of remember it. But once you run it like 4 or 5 times in practice, you should kind of memorize it.
Interesting. How does that? So I don't know much about rally, and I've met a few people over the years that race rally here, and I've never even been exposed to that. Honestly, I don't think a lot of us in karting ever have been. So how long is a stage? Like, how long is this track?
It could be a few minutes, but the hard part is it's through trees, so it's kind of hard to recognize it as corners. You know what I mean? So you might come up on a turn and it looks, you might kind of have like a little jump, a little memory boggle, and you might, think it's left when it's right. But that's why a co-driver is good. It's long enough here that you actually want a co-driver. If you live here and you've driven the stages like Texas Dave has, he doesn't need a co-driver, obviously, because it's his track.
Neck of the woods.
Yeah. But like guys like myself and guys that are showing up, it's helpful. You make notes. Basically what a co-driver does is drives, they make distances. So you have a distance in between turns. Maybe it'll be 20 yards, 50 yards, 100 yards. Then the way I like my notes read, I like to be read left or right first so that I know left 4. And the number is the gauge on how the degree of turn. So a 6 is like barely a turn. A 6 would be like a barely a turn, where like a 1 would be like a hairpin.
Yeah. So when they go 6 foot left over crest,
or left 6 over crest, flat out. Sometimes it'll be go straight over crest. Sometimes it'll be left 6 over crest. So that means like stay to the left, but you only have a slight turn after the crest. So it all depends. Sometimes you want to say right to go left over the crest. So you have to make all the notes so that so that you can go flat out.
That's got to be something too, where you're like have a super close relationship with your co-driver, right? Because I got to imagine that every driver has like a different style that they want the notes read. They want like different key points of like where there's maybe bumps or things that'll upset the car. So is
Yeah,
that something where like you've had the same co-drivers since you started doing stage rallies, or?
I've gone back and forth with different co-drivers, just because I don't do it enough. But the last 3 rallies I've done, I've had the same co-driver. I like someone who, a lot of the co-drivers, like I've had a couple where it's like you get in the car and they're like, okay, you're like, okay, you're also in the car with me. You might want to, like, you see something, let me know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do this all the time.
Right.
So he's kind of cool that Greg, who I have now co-driving for me, he kind of helps me. He's like, okay, well, it's a little off camera. I'm like, oh yeah, it is off camera. Like, cause I'm so busy looking at the degree and, trying to get my visuals. And so it's good to have someone who is willing to work with you, opposed to like, you didn't put that in your notes. That's why we're off. It's like, fuck, we're in this together, like, you feel me?
You could die too, dude.
Yeah,
No shit.
yeah. So it helps.
My notes would be extra long. I'd be like, fuck this. This guy can't hit a rock without me knowing.
Dude,
Yeah,
No way.
just that's got to be something that's so hard to like get somebody new, that like just the level of understanding you have to have for like when you want the driver to read the notes. Like some people want to hear the instructions early or closer to the corner, and like
Absolutely, yeah.
that's got to be something that's a unique, is that something that kind of like you like about stage racing versus like rallycross, or is that something that's kind of been hard to get used to?
No, I like it because, like I said, you don't have some full, bump and running you into a turn and destroying. Like, rallycross is expensive, and if you don't seat good in your heat race, you're in the back of the pack, and it's hard to come from the back in rallycross and even get to the top 5, because depending on the grid and the situation with turn 1 and everything, and there's so much like riding on doing good all day, and all it takes is one full to destroy you and all the work that your team has done.
Yeah, dude, if people think karting drivers get over aggressive, they should watch a rallycross race, dude. Those guys throw it in so deep. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's rad. One of my favorites to watch is Kevin Erickson, because he'll just send it on the outside.
Hell yeah.
Around everyone, and he's not scared. You know what I mean? So
is that something? Did you start like your motorsports career in rallycross, or did you start with karting?
I started with tracking my Corrado at Summit Raceway.
Okay.
And once I started doing daily track days, weekends, staying up there, and just getting seat time. And then once I moved to California, I got a shifter cart, and that was like 2000,
Wow.
2000 or 2001 or something, and I still have it. The CRG PTK.
Hell yeah.
125
with a moto, right?
Yeah, it still rips, dude. It's still like decent. It's I'm able to put still some decent lap times in, so I'm like, why would I go out and spend like 15-20K on a cart when I don't do it enough, for one?
That's true. You should.
I should, yeah. I mean, I should do it more, but then it's like,
but then you might break your rib.
I'm 50, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
there was something rad about motos, dude. I think that just that era of like, because there wasn't really like a purpose-built shifter kart engine at that point in the sport, that like the motocross industry really kind of had to like get behind karting for a minute there. And there was like a period of time where Honda and Suzuki and Yamaha, like they were kind of like trying to dip their feet in. And really, I mean, I think the reason they probably passed is just because it didn't have the eyeballs, right? It didn't have like, there was no one live streaming kart races. There was no big partnership opportunities. So it just kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah. But you put those moto guys in a cart and they can actually feel the band, like feel the, like when it fires up the RPMs, it's like night and day, you know, because they have the grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What motors are out? Like I don't kart enough. What motors is everyone running right now? Like what's the
Well, that's
motor?
pretty standard in the shifter category to run the European kart specific engine. So it's called the KZ category, but it's kind of been the staple in the world of karting. I don't know. I want to say since the late or mid 2000s overall.
Really?
We had, moto here. It was open moto for a long time. And then that kind of got, I think, a little too expensive for most people. And there's a lot of factories playing the game too. And it was getting kind of crazy. So the States went to a spec stock Honda category, which is essentially what you have. And, once that kind of started going away because Honda stopped making the parts for a 1999 motorcycle engine, we ended up kind of going back to what the rest of the world uses. And now that's the KZ category, which makes a Honda look slow.
Really?
Dude, they're not.
Oh yeah, they're crazy. Not so much torque. They don't have the torque that the Honda does, or the open motor does, but they have horsepower. I mean, just straight horsepower. You have to be high in the RPMs. You got to be on the pipe all the time. It's a lot higher power band than something that's built for a motorcycle.
Dry clutch, which is kind of crazy difference from the Honda.
Yep.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet, and it's starting to pick back up. I think, especially it seems like these last 2 or 3 years here in the States, there seems to be more places to race the shifter now. So it's really kind of starting to become something where, for a while there were still people running motos. There was some people tried to do this thing called the SSE, which is like a 175. It was supposed to be like this big badass thing, and it just kind of didn't pan out that way. And now everyone is just kind of going the route of we just want to do what the rest of the fucking world is doing. And they're starting to get some big. I think Supernats just had like 50 shifters. Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah.
So when I go to K1, when they open up their track and I show up in a PTK,
you might get smoked
with a motor, with a Honda motor. I'm going to get smoked.
You might get smoked.
People are gonna look at it and think it's sweet though, because they probably never seen one.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna see the bodywork on and be like, "What does that
look like?"
Yeah. It's
vintage,
ancient, dude. You saw my.
I may just have to put you in a new one. Yeah, I did the other day. You put it on there.
It's not a shifter cart. It's a shifter shelf right now.
Well, I think we've all got a couple of those, dude.
Oh my god, the garage is full of them.
I don't think I saved.
That's so funny. So did you ever at what point, going from a pro skater to, what point did you decide all right, I'm going to transition, try and become a professional racing driver? Like, it seems like early in your career, you were into cars. It sounds like you're tracking your stuff.
Yeah. I was in the cars. I was into, like I said, I was in the track days and just having fun. Well, when you think about it, I skateboard. Okay. So my friends all had, at that time I was 18 turned pro at 18. So a lot of my friends were either in high school still, and most of them had jobs. So here I am. There's a certain time of day where you're just like, what am I going to do? So I got in the cars and I got into shooting pool. So I'm really good at pool. And I was really good at pool. I shouldn't say I am anymore. I haven't. My pool table turned into a laundry table. But I got in the cars. So once I started tracking my cars, I moved to California, and you guys know who Danny Way is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had a Fausto kart, the Track Magic.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the time we went to Palomar kart track, small little kart track at the top of the mountain, bumpy as hell. I mean, it's small. It's smaller than Adams. It's smaller than Paris. But I went there with a shifter cart and I was hooked. And that's when I started really getting into shifter karting. Met my friend Randy Johnson from CRG.
Okay.
And he hooked me up with the PTK that I got. He also met me at Beaumont, Rocky Moran's track.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going out to Moran every weekend. I would literally have my wife. I got it to the point where I could load my cart into the back of my F-150 by myself, and I could unload it by myself because I did it so much. I just used the stand and wedged, got it all dollied up and hooked up. So I would show up at Moran, and I would be ready. As soon as Randy would get there, we would go through the routine. You know, I would just be out there running lap times, just going through tanks of gas, just setting up the car, learning. And I'd run with some of the fastest guys, Moran, like all those dudes were like practicing. I never really raced a race, but I would run lap times with them. So I would learn, I would talk to them, I would just learn everything. And I picked it up. Then I got back in the cars, and it was just like night and day how much faster I was. And then I got invited to the celebrity race at Long Beach. You know,
Okay.
Okay.
The Grand Prix.
So I show up to do practice in the at the time it was Scions, and I go to the first test day out at Streets of Willow, and I'm like smoking everyone. I'm like smoking the instructors. They're like, dude, you don't need help. Actually, like, how are you entering the turn, because you're like a few tenths faster than I was, faster than the instructors. So they're like, well, you don't need our help. Like, just go do what you do. And so I ended up winning the celebrity race. Came back the following year, I started from the back, missed my breaking point because I didn't miss it. I passed one of the celebrities, and I tried to go back out, kind of like how that guy ran me into the tires. But I tried to get back on my line so that I could set up for turn one. And by the time I got back out to track back in,
it was a little late.
I missed my breaking point. So I had to go to the runoff and repass everyone that I already passed. So that messed up that race. But after that, I started doing, I got invited out to Miller Motorsports Park at the time it was called, and I started doing the Mustang Challenge. So I would run 2 races in one weekend, plus all the seat time in practice and qualifying. And I would basically come in first or second at the Mustang Challenge every weekend. And I would race like guys who would be like, you know, what's his name? Potter, he has a team, IMSA.
Oh yeah, I don't know what team it is, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I would race. All those guys would come, and I would beat them in like the Mustangs. So it was like I started taking it more serious. And then like I got my Skip Barber open wheel license. I went out to Sonoma and actually won the championship in Mazda 3s. The speed open wheel cars. I think it was like 2012. I won the championship, and all I did was show up. I had one prior race where I got like top 3. I showed up. It was a championship weekend. So all I did was show up for a weekend race, and it was 2 races that weekend. And I got a second, and the guy who was going to win the championship, he won pretty much every race that year. I got second to him on the first race, and I got behind him on the second race, and he went off track. So I ended up winning that race, and he got like 4th or something. So I ended up winning the championship for only, I was only at 2 races.
No way.
As lame as it was also awesome, you know.
That's fucking crazy, like, dude.
Dude, this shit's easy.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. Like I love racing, and it's kind of like what keeps me sane when I'm not skating.
That had to be like a crazy transition to go from like you get signed as a pro so young to Powell Peralta, which at the time was like, I mean, that's what every skater at that point in time wanted, right? That's the team they wanted to go to. It's all the pros that they wanted to be like are probably there, right? You're getting to hang out with your heroes. And then you pick up this new hobby where you felt like you were pretty quick, like right out of the rip, just because you kind of had that edge for like, you know,
well, I put the time in. I did. Yeah, I put the time in. And to back it up to like what you're saying, like, you know, I'm hanging out with like Tony Hawk and like Mike McGill and all those guys. I still go fishing with Mike McGill. Steve Caballero just texted me this morning, asked me if I wanted to skate, and I was like, I'm driving rally cars. Like, I'll see you Monday. So like it's insane, you know. I don't take it for granted. I love the life I live, and I just hope to keep doing it, you know, as long as I wear a rib protector.
Hell yeah, dude. What a wild trajectory, man.
Crazy. Wild. Of all the things, you get hurt in a go-kart.
Yeah, but you know what? And I was driving so safe the whole time. I wasn't diving in on people. but it was like halfway through the race, and there was another pro car in front of me. All I was doing was following him basically to get through traffic, and this guy just moved over on me, and that's all it takes.
Yep, wrong place, wrong time.
Happens to us all, man.
Yeah.
I asked Race before you got on. I was like, all right, I got to know, dude, is Bucky a slouch? Before we have this conversation, I got to know if he's fit. And Race is like, dude can wheel for sure. It's such a bummer that you didn't get to pull it off at the end of the race there.
I don't know. I think we were sitting in like 6th. We were bouncing back between 5th and 7th, depending on the pit strategy we were on. Depending on when people were pitting for gas, and I think we were pretty good to like solidly finish top 5. And the year prior, I think we got 4th, and Race put in a freaking championship run, like triple stinting at the end because everyone was spent.
Yeah, it was rough. The first year was really rough. I think it was every year we've had somebody miss practice, and this year was Bucky didn't get much the first year really either. I think he had to show up a little late, and he shows up this time, and I'm like, oh man, well, we'll see how it's gonna go. And he gets in, he's ripping like just fine. I'm like, fuck, he's only like a second off of me and Chase, which it's like, okay, like when we had Pat Long here, he was 6/10 off us, like so.
Yeah,
he's doing pretty damn good right now for having 0 seat time in a year at that point. But yeah, we had a blast.
I was up there. I got a little COVID weight too. I feel like I'm like 10 pounds too heavy right now.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a few tenths. That's a few tenths right there.
No, it is. What is it? 10 pounds is 2 tenths.
Yeah.
That's the golden rule.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to assume it's the same thing with skating, where like there's a certain type of being in shape for karting that the only way you get in shape for karting is by pounding laps over and over and over. And
I was gonna ask. You said something about like not skating in 3 weeks. Like, is that what? Sounds stupid. I don't skateboard, but so what is like? You get
that's
it physical?
Yeah, that's
like super physical.
I mean, that's the equivalent of like you're out with like driving. It's a little different because I feel like it's not as physical. Karting definitely is physical, but like especially when you're older.
Right.
3 weeks is like 3 months when you're older. And it's just, I can't, like when I stand on my board after 3 weeks of being off, it feels like I'm standing still going fast as shit. Like you're like, whoa, I'm going fast. Like, and your body weight, your back seat a little bit, your front seat a little bit, you move your feet at the wrong time, and you could just bam right into the wall. So I tend to kind of like first couple hours, just like no expectations, just ride, just do some laps. Basically, it's like just go through a half a tank. You know what I mean? Like get some laps,
warm up.
Time, warm up, and then like after a certain point, you're like, okay, I'm no longer going to play that like, oh, I haven't skated in 3 weeks. It's like I feel good. Then I just start going for it.
Heck yeah.
Do you find obviously like when you were pro, primarily vert stuff, right? Do you still skate a lot of vert? Do you do any street stuff? And do you feel like skating vert is kind of why you've been able to continue skating like, up into your 50s and stuff? I know I see Tony still ripping all the time, and then you see these street skaters that are like 30 and they're all fucking welded together and plates everywhere.
Sheckler's like fat now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheckler went through some stuff. He's got a little chunky neck, but he, it's harder for street skating because you're jumping down stairs and ledges and stuff. But with vert skating, I watched 2 of my good friends, Tony and Kevin Staub, both break their femurs right in front of me, like
oh no,
holding their leg, like
yeah.
Dang.
All
that shit scares the fuck out of me. Going up a vert ramp, I've only done it on a BMX bike. God damn, even just going up and not even getting air is scary.
It could take you out. I can barely snap my finger because I have that lock. Like, see how it locks?
Yeah, it's like a spring.
Crazy, dude.
Boing. So I tried to snapping my finger is like arthritis, just like the Batman pow pow. It's like pow wow. But it could happen like that. Like it could happen so quick where you're like, you show up. It sucks because Kevin showed up and he was like, I don't really feel like riding, like blah, blah, blah. But he was just getting warmed up and stuff. And all of a sudden, like a little bit of a mishap, off balance on the flat bottom. And he just, bam, right into the wall. and straight broke his femur, and it's like it could happen. Like, it could happen to me, you know what I mean? Like, it happens to younger guys. It could happen to everyone. So what do you do? Just try to, like I said, warm up, and I don't know, just don't think about it,
Yeah, right. Move on. Keep going.
I feel like if you think about it, you're just gonna make it happen.
Yeah, right.
For sure, dude. I remember.
How about like setup on a board? Is that like crucial? Like go-karts, race cars, any of that stuff. You know how crucial setup is. Is it still like that too? Because I know you got bushings in the trucks, the stiffness of the trucks. Probably there's got to be wheel compounds, I'm assuming. Board stiffnesses, things like that.
The wheel compound matters if you're riding concrete or wood. But Pal Peralta pretty much makes, or Bones Wheels makes, probably the best urethane, just because it's I ride the same wheels on concrete and wood because it kind of offers, they're fast. Usually, like if you ride a wheel on vert wood and you want it like a little you want it to have a softer compound, but yeah, you still want it to be fast.
Right.
So if you're going to sacrifice speed for grip, that's going to affect you. It's like running a soft tire when it's too hot out and you're too soft. You know what I mean? It's going to be good for like maybe a lap. So it's kind of like that too. You can feel it, but with Bones, they have this skate park formula, they call it, and it's actually really good on wood as well. So it's fast, but yet still has grip. As far as bushings go, I also ride the Bones bushings because I ride for independent, but the stock bushings that come in those, they tend to stick. Like if you push on the left side, the board kind of still stays kind of pushed to the left side. Rebound, it doesn't have good rebound. It doesn't have like good, it kind of smashes. So with Bones bushings, instantly, I can put a pair of fresh or a set of fresh bushings in, tighten it up, stand on it, wiggle my board a little bit, get it to where I like my trucks to be just loose enough that my wheels don't hit my board. Like I can step on my board and turn it left and right, and they're just like barely not gonna wheel bite. My trucks are still loose, and with the PAL hard bushings, I can still ride my truck semi-loose, but yet it still has that it's like a car when it sets. It doesn't, you get it to set and then it just kind of goes and it doesn't like fall over or roll over.
It's almost like it stiffens up as it travels.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the Bones bushings are good. So Bones bushings are good for that. And then the my PAL board, I still ride for PAL. I ride a flight deck, which is a little thinner as far as the wood. The wood, a 7-ply board, say a 7-ply board is like that thick, a flight deck is like that thick. So, and it's a lot stiffer. It has like a I don't think it's carbon. I think it's more of a fiberglass resin type of top layer that keeps it from flexing. But the bad thing about it is when you smash it on concrete, it kind of splinters. So like when it splinters, it's like literally like pulling a piece of twine, and it rips like all the way like horizontally down the board.
Oh,
and
wow.
It starts to delam a little bit because of the glue structure and all. It's not happy on concrete, but it's still like the best board because it doesn't flex, and the concave is pretty good. It's like, it's like the perfect setup as far as like you go get your cart corner balance,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's so crucial. Like people look at a go-kart, for example, and you're like, what can you change on this? And we've got different, stiffer axles, little torsion bars, stiffer, softer seats, wheels combinations, just all different things to set them up. But when you look at it, it looks so simple. Like skateboard looks so simple. When you purchase a skateboard from your local skate shop, you're like, hell yeah, I'm dialed. Maybe
so why
not.
don't I just go get a Walmart one? Huh?
Yeah, right.
The same thing.
A lot of that's preference too, right? Just like different riders have different styles and, kind of like different setups. I think one thing that I'm taking away that I didn't really know is how long you've had the same business relationships in skating. Like the fact that I think your first video part was like Bones Brigade 4, right? And it was like pretty early days of Powell Peralta, and you've had that same relationship, through your whole career.
I had different sponsors. I actually came back to PAL. Like
Really?
Yeah. I rode for Element, Birdhouse, New Deal, and a couple smaller companies. I recently went back to PAL probably like 5 years ago, just because I felt like it was the perfect spot for me. Being on the elderly side of my career, I was like, I want to return to like a purposeful sponsor, someone
Yeah.
who's been there and, they have like the reissues. And at the time I was like, it's a perfect time for me to come out with my reissue, my first board graphic. It's been, 30 some years. So it was perfect timing. And then they're like, well, we want to give you a pro board too. And I was like, well, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Please.
I think that's something that really like could translate to karting though, is we see a lot more focus on like young drivers creating their own brand and being marketable. Like if you kind of had something that you could say to like young racers that are trying to like take that next step and let's say, get signed, get their own board, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like what types of tips would you give someone that's trying to make a brand out of themselves as a driver?
I think as a driver / human being, I think it's probably not the easiest thing to bring someone up, but I think in general, I think it's easy. I think it's better as a personality trait to always be bringing people up with you. You know what I mean? Like help them rise up with you, and instead of like being like, oh, I'm faster than him, he's a dick, like blah blah blah. It's like I think like what Race is doing, bringing up all the young talent, and because I mean a lot of these young guys can't even touch Race. I mean he's pretty fast, but yeah, he's still bringing them up. You know what I mean? So
Hell yeah.
I think that's what's important, and I think that's what people kind of tend to respect more than just like how fast you are, because you can be like, I'm not going to name names, but like you could ride solo into this and be like Mr. Marketer and market yourself around all these yes men, but it's like, are you truly going to have the respect of people, or are you just going to be like, you're going to have more haters than you have love, people who would ride with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
makes total sense.
we talk a lot about like just being authentic too. Like don't try to sell people on some bullshit that's not like really who you are, because at some point down the line that's going to come out. Like
Yeah.
just if that's something that I think a lot of action sports, whether it's skateboarding or motocross, it kind of seems to like there's room for you to just be yourself, even if you're kind of against the grain. Like somebody's gonna, even Race. We were at Nashville for the IndyCar Grand Prix doing business with like reputable business people, and Race is just being this like, kind of like surfer vibe from Cali,
Yeah.
brushing him off, being himself. And it's like, I think that there's some value in that they like, we're like, oh shit, that's who this guy really is.
Yeah.
And we want to work with him because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's in this world, like it's so easy to just hate, and I think it's brought some bad like juju out, with everything happening and today. I think it's important to get back to like, positive mental attitude and just helping people out and bringing them,
That kind of goes back to like, I mean, I'm sure this is just like this in skateboarding too, but the cultural side of it, like that, why it all even started was a bunch of people wanting to go have fun with each other. Like, you know what I mean? Racing started because they wanted to go see who was the fastest guy. NASCAR started because they wanted to race on the beach with their old cars and just see who was faster and have a good time. And skateboarding, I'm assuming, started the same way. Put some wheels on a stick and go ride it.
Start backyard contests, or skating contests in people's backyards at their homemade vert ramps, and
or pools, like back in the day when pool boarding was a thing, and you'd go in homeboy's pool that was empty in the summer. It was like, it's crazy. It's totally, cultural thing where you guys were all doing everybody's doing something there together, have fun, enjoy the time they're spending together. And I think in competition, sometimes we forget that.
You do. I think it's a little different. Like rally, we were just talking about this with some of my buddies out here. Rally is still like the lost art form as far as like dudes in rally will lend someone a competitor a part, so that they can race them. Where like like IMSA and all that, you're not getting a differential from someone. You're not getting an axle. Karting, you will get an axle from a
Hell
buddy.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
But
yeah.
you won't in these other series. Rally, yeah. Karting, yeah. These other series, it's just too much money involved. It's like, nope, you don't have that part. Nope, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, dude. No, I think that's a legit part of karting. We have a series here on the East Coast, and one of the things we do is we have this. I don't know if you like use Discord for anything, but we use the Discord app, and we've kind of created this community where like if someone needs something, like just drop it in the Discord, and someone's always like hooking people up. You see people from different teams going to other teams' tents for dinner and shit at the track. I
Yeah,
think that community,
cool.
I've never even thought about it, but it does remind me of like being a kid at the skate park and like somebody shows up with a pizza, everybody's like eating dinner together and they're
Yeah,
just hanging
everyone's
out,
eating.
cheering each other on, dude.
Yep, that's what it's about.
It's good vibes for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I like it.
So,
Heck
I
yeah.
mean, selfishly, dude, while we've got you, what was it like going from like being a kid, you get signed as a pro skater, and at that point, skateboarding's still kind of like a fringe sport, similar to what karting is, right? And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater happens, and everybody wants to buy a skateboard, and everybody, like, all of a sudden, it's more accepted. People are talking about it in a different way. What was it like being a part of that movement and seeing the before and after of that?
It's hard for me to kind of look at it from the outside because I was there from I was pretty much the third generation of skaters. You have like the 60s, the 70s, and I started doing it in the 80s. So when I started competing, I looked up to Christian Asoy, Jeff Kendall, Steve Caballero, Tony Hawk, all these guys I looked up to. I started kind of winning local amateur contests. Pal Peralta came through on a demo, through my local town. I was kind of sponsored by this local shop and another like Flow for Skull Skates. So I got like free skateboards at the time. When Pal came through doing a demo, they came to my local ramp and they saw me skate and they were like instantly like, oh my God, what is this little kid? He's just like a pad. He had a helmet and pads, some skinny little kid. And I was blasting, I was skating, trying stuff well before I should have been trying stuff. I felt, the PAL team was there. So I was just like ripping.
Yeah.
So I got on PAL and then first trip to California, I was staying with Tony Hawk and, all these different people and guys that I looked up to. So that raised the bar for me even more because I was part of the crew. So I felt like it created a confidence. So from there, I get to meet like Steve Caballero, Mike McGill. Mike McGill was actually the first pro I ever met. He was the coolest dude, even to this day. He's like super rad. Like I go fishing with him all the time. It's just meeting your childhood heroes and then like getting to know them as people instead of just like people on, in contests competing. And, it kind of opens up a whole different world to you. So when skateboarding was blowing up that time, I can't believe the way I skated back then. I looked like I was like ready to fall at any moment. Like I was so sketchy. I had no power, but I was just like, I would try everything and I would make stuff. So with that being said, I feel like, at that time when Tony started doing the video game stuff, that's when I started to just find my power and my strength in skating. So I started like my style kind of changed a little bit. I wasn't like this scrawny kid anymore. I was starting to get meat on my bones. I was starting to get power and, starting going bigger. And when Tony had the game, I was riding, I believe I was riding for Birdhouse at the time. So I was instantly like in the mix of the game and, talking to Neversoft and going over what tricks I wanted and what tricks I was into breakdancing before skateboarding. So a lot of my tricks had like breakdancing influence to them. Where
Hell yeah.
Tony was like, I only want my trick to be real. I was like, nah, fuck that. I want like backspin indie grab 540 and stuff, you know, like. So I think people related to that as well. So yeah, it just blew up and it seemed like it was overnight in a sense, but it wasn't, you know, it was a few years. So it was rad. To this day, people still come up to me. They're like, you're my favorite character in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And it's just, I used to play you when I was a kid. You're looking at like a 30-year-old, you know, you're like,
Oh
yeah,
man,
it's a trip.
That's so funny.
crazy,
I had
dude.
actually one of our customers. I'm going out there. He's like, "Oh, who's racing this weekend?" And you know, I'm like, "Oh yeah, so and so, and Bucky." And he's like, "Bucky, who's Bucky?" And I'm like, "Bucky Lasek." And he's like, "No fucking way!" And he lost his mind. He's like, and this guy's like 40, right? So he's like, "That's my hero." And I was like, "What? Like that's my hero. Like those are my age range of heroes. What are you talking about?" I'm like, fuck, I guess so.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
Definitely like. It's crazy because I am 50. Like 50 is a big fucking number. Like,
dude, you're over the hill and like on the brakes now, right?
Bro, in some cases, I'm in the tires.
And
in some cases.
Oh man,
it's a big number, dude. Like, yeah, like I said, it's been a heavy month for me. Like, hopefully next month it's a lot easier.
Yeah, like you said, it just takes 3 times longer to heal or do anything really. I'm not that old yet by any means, obviously, but I'm starting to like understand a little bit more and more and more as you get older and older. You're like, yeah, it's when your parents said, wait till you get to my age. It's real.
I used to be able to walk on my hands. Like I could walk on my hands around the parking lot. Now I can't even bend my wrist back. Like this one. Yeah. I can't even do push-ups because I can't bend my wrist. Like,
is that injury?
Yeah, it's injury. So now, like when I skate, like say I just slap my wrist or put my hand down last minute, my wrist swells up. So like that's the kind of stuff I'm dealing with, you know.
Yeah, right.
Just my body's just quitting.
Yeah, there's not many 50-year-olds on skateboards anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Not as many. Remember, karting is safe. Skateboarding's not.
I beg
you should do both. You should do both.
Karting is not safe.
Yeah, the crazy thing, dude, is like, I mean, I feel like even what Ray said, like your parents, like, oh, dude, when you'll feel it when you're my age, like being 30 and growing up skating, and I always skated street, and it's like people always, you know, you don't want to wear a helmet because you want to be the cool kid, and the amount of like dives I took to the face and just messing up your body, and it's like, man, I really.
And everyone has busted.
Oh, of course, dude. Chin, nose, wrists. My fingers are all fucking funky shapes, and I think that's one thing that we see in karting is like people can race go-karts for a long ass time, dude. We get people racing karts well into their 60s.
Yeah, but then there's guys like him that come through and they bust their ribs the first, second, third time. You're like, and to me, like I've definitely had rib injuries, but it's sometimes you're like, man, what were you doing? You know, I know what he was doing. He was going on the outside of a rental cart and lost that fight. But
yeah, I'd say you know what, I could going through a whole tank of gas. That wasn't so hard. Like
no,
it wasn't hard. I thought my wrist would bother me and my hands. I felt it. You know what I mean? I just you just take the time down the straightaways, and I passed so many people that it was actually a nice stretch to be like. You know, you give them a thumbs up, you give them the piece, you know, when you pass them, it's like, okay, time to stretch my hand, pass, time to stretch my hand, pass. So that was a nice, so going through a tank of gas, I thought was going to be dreadful, but it wasn't so bad.
No, it wasn't like 2 years before that when we had, this endurance race, they made us run small gas tanks, cadet gas tanks.
Maybe that's
2 years ago, it was a full-size gas tank. So it was it was like 2 hours and 20-minute stint for a full stint. And
okay, so maybe that's why I didn't put that together until now.
Why'd you have to do Bucky like that, dude? He was feeling good about himself.
He did it. He did it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I
no
dreaded
problem. Yeah, he dreaded it. They were dead.
We got to get Bucky in a KZ, dude, and let him do a tank of gas and see how he feels after that.
Yeah,
I would like to drive a new kart. Like I think if I drove a new, I'd probably want a new one.
Yes, you would. 100%.
Yeah, dude. We'll get you out to the East Coast. We'll put you in one.
Musgrave? How do you say his last name?
Musgrave. Yeah.
Musgrave took my 20-some-year-old kart out, and he was only a few tenths off of his fastest time in his kart, which is pretty good.
Billy's the monster.
That was like 3 or so years ago, so I don't know how far they've come. I know my brakes suck on my kart, and I know that's part of, and even for him to be that fast in it then, my brakes were so outdated.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Well, now the engines are right now it's about a second faster, which may not sound like a lot, but when you drive them back to back, it feels like a lot.
Is that guy still building engines?
Sweet Tech.
Yeah. Is he still build engines?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Most of these guys don't leave the game in this sport. They're all here.
They're around forever, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's cool though. Even like guys like Musgrave, I think the reason Musgrave was so fast in a kart is so fast in a kart is probably the same reason you picked it up so quick. It's like coming from other action sports. So Musgrave actually, they was a moto guy, and his dad's like a famous moto guy.
Yeah.
So he just grew up on a bike, and that mentality of like, I'm gonna fucking throw it in as hard as I can. It just tends to get people up to speed quicker.
So, Race, I have to ask, because I think Billy would be another one. How much car driving have you done? Like
me? A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. That's most. I was out of go-karts. I was done go-kart racing full time when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, legend cars. I went the circle track like NASCAR route. Got to get in some, ARCA stuff, and had an opportunity in Camping World trucks and things like that. But yeah, ton of experience. I race cars most of the time. I just got back into karting. Actually, most people don't know this. I just got back into karting in 2019 full time. So my last full season was 2009 in a go-kart, and my first season back full time in a kart was 2019, kind of after the dust settled. Racing career thing didn't quite work out at the time, and kind of came back to the roots and the really what I honestly, this is just the purest form of motorsports to me. So just being able to come and go race and not have to deal with, this trying to beg for sponsorship all the time, keep your ride, do this, do that. Like, yeah, the stress of being a professional athlete is like, and I didn't even get to live that lifestyle as long as I would have loved to. But even the difference from going from like doing this for fun and then trying to create a career out of it is like the workload is insane. Like you getting to go, I'm imagining you early on getting to go skate was like your free time. Like that was the free time. The hard work goes in afterwards to maintain sponsorship, get new sponsorship, work on this deal on the side, fulfill that promise I made to this sponsor.
Yeah, the hard part for me was definitely like the practicing. Like contest, you're ready. I was ready for contest.
Yeah.
But it was the practice leading up to it, the hours at the local ramp, like trying stuff, trying this into that, like trying to get consistently. In order to be consistent, you have to do it a lot. Otherwise, you're just going to get lucky. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Right.
When you went pro as a driver, would have been with Subaru, right? Rallycross.
So I was about to start racing Porsches in what was it called then? GT. What was that series called?
It would be
American
like the
Le Mans, maybe
Carrera Cup right now, or GT Pirelli GT Challenge.
It was it was something I can't remember. But I was about to go race Porsches. And then my agent was the same agent as Pastrana, Ken Block, Dave Mira. So when Mira left Subaru for the first time, he went into NASCAR. So that opened up his seat in Subaru. And at that time I didn't want to, I had so much seat time in karts and in racing cars, Mustang Challenge, Viper. I did a Viper race. I did open wheel. I did all that. So I was ready. Like I was the grit master. I was ready to rock. My agent calls me up and he's like, "You want to go test in rally? Do some rallycross?" I was like, all this freaking work I just did to go out and race tarmac and grip. You're going to make me that guy that like has to go and do, like, I've done some rally schools, you know what I mean? Like I get it, but I'm not there. Like it's not intuition, you know what I mean? Like I have to go.
So it's not a thing yet.
Yeah. So I had to go. I literally went out to Dirtfish for 6 days or something and trained loose surface, totally different turn in, totally different car control. And then I went and tested for Subaru, and I was actually faster than Mira. And I forget who else was there, but I was actually faster than Mira. The only problem was coming from Porsches, I was probably like 2,500 RPMs too high all the time. So the engineers were like, "Can you just shift it like 6,500 instead of like 9,000?" Like,
It's not gonna last.
I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's gotta be crazy, dude. I've always had a thing for rallycross just because like the wheel to wheel racing I'm sure from a driving aspect it's sweet, but from like a spectator's perspective, it's way easier for people to get into rallycross. And I think that's like what X Games saw when they picked it up and stuff, is whether you're a racing fan or you're not, rallycross is badass to watch.
It's amazing how one person can ruin a series. Colin Dine ruined with Global Rallycross. He stepped on everyone's feet. He was in debt at racetracks. He was in debt to his employees. He was in debt to everyone, and he was a total ass.
What a problem, dude.
And it killed the series. And then someone else bought it. A bunch of investors actually took it over after him, and it was kind of doing okay for a little while, but the damage was done. And then Travis is still trying to bring it back.
He's doing a really good job, it seems like, but it's like like you're saying, you're trying to fix something that was killed, that shot and buried out back.
Badly damaged. Like it was a money printing machine, and he just destroyed it.
That's crazy. Yeah, because
we've got a couple of those in karting.
What else could you need? You got all the old, like whether you're a professional racing driver now, like Tanner, I think was in it at the time, and a bunch of those other names that are just strictly racing drivers. And then you had guys like yourself, Dave, Travis, Deegan. Yeah, you got all these guys that made their name known in other disciplines that are now racing. So you got like the perfect marketing package. I mean, how much more could you ask for? Like,
dude, we did it all. Like we went to children's hospitals before the races. Like we did it right. It's just the money, dude. Like he just wasn't putting it back in,
Yeah,
that's a bummer,
man. He was buying Gucci sunglasses and white fucking designer jeans and shit, and I don't know what he was doing. He's probably doing a lot of
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully Trav brings it back, though. I think there's probably not too many people in the world that have a bad thing to say about Travis Pastrana. So if anyone can make that happen, it's him.
Travis is an absolute roller, and he what he's doing for the sport and all the sports that he does is amazing. It's just a shame because back then, what Colin Dine did was he destroyed the manufacturers. All the money that the manufacturers were putting in and investing, it's scared money now. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it like they did. Subaru was putting in so much money. Honda, Volkswagen, all those companies are putting in so much money, but what he did was he just did them wrong. You know what I mean?
Huh. And is there opportunity for that sport? Like knowing Travis is doing what he's doing now. I know you said you're trying to get in yourself in one of those rides. I've seen it as appealing. I've been looking. I'm always looking at numbers to try and get back into something in race cars. But you look at like the lights thing going into that. Is there anything kind of more geared towards what you guys are even doing right there in Austin? Like, is there opportunity for guys to take? And I don't know how you guys classify what classes there are, and whether it's turbo or NA or whatever, but is there opportunity for a smaller, dumbed down version of like a rallycross platform?
That's what rally is. Rally is a cheaper form of rallycross, and you can go do local sanctioned rallycross events in your local town. Most likely, maybe it's an hour away or so. But there's sanctioning bodies that are out there, like ARA. That does rally. They're hosting this rally sprint here in Austin. There's also a rally sprint in Colorado, Pikes Peak International Raceway. There's one there.
What a brutal one that is, dude.
It's not that bad, actually. It's not that bad. It's it's growing. That's why we're trying to grow Rally Sprint, because it's more of a local SCCA type of autocross kind of thing,
Okay.
but we're doing it in a bigger scale, like with dirt roads, and eventually, hopefully, a Rally Sprint will be what we are talking about more so than Rally, because Rally is still kind of expensive. You got to get your car there, you got to set up, you got to have your crew working. Rally Sprint, it's more of like you could have your buddy help you.
That's cool. So this is like we're talking about the roads that maybe the back. I mean, I guess it's dirt roads, so the backwoods that guys might be tearing up every weekend in their Jeeps and stuff.
Usually, it's at like what we do at Rally Sprint. Like here at the Rally School, of course, they have access to roads here at PPIR. Yeah, they have a side road. On the opposite behind the track, it's a dirt.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we just utilize that. We go out and groom it. We get there a few days early, groom it, clean it up. That's it. Send it.
That's something that hopefully, through this and maybe even do some follow-up stuff afterwards, we can get the karting community more information about it and stuff. Because
you just need a beater car. There's front wheel drive, there's rear wheel drive, and there's all wheel drive.
I think people would be into that, dude, because like the traditional trajectory of like a karting driver is like, if even for you, like you went from karting to the Skip Barber School, right? Which that doesn't really exist anymore, in the same way that it did back then. So that kind of trajectory up through open wheel cars is limited to people with like fuck you budgets, versus something like Rally Sprint, or even we've seen people go more of like the touring car route, because there's more than one driver in the car, so they're sharing expenses that way.
Yeah.
Anything that we can do, people always harp on us for like, oh, karting's not a stepping stone, but like, if anybody tells you that they don't want to go race cars after they're done karting, they're full of shit. Everybody wants to go race cars.
You could literally, before you even spend money on a rally car, look it up and see if there's anything locally to you and how far away it is, because you could buy a beater, you could work on it as you break it. You probably want to invest in a trailer. You don't want to be driving it there, because you're probably going to need to get it back because it's going to break. So if you have a truck and a trailer, go buy a couple $1,000 beater car and just send it.
Hell yeah, dude.
You're going to have the best time of your life.
What a great way to.
Pretty fun. We should probably go do that.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm actually, maybe if it was like a little further out, we'd go buy a beater and just come race.
You got to have something by you. Where are you locally?
Well, right now,
Midwest, like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff out there. Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Yeah. I know there's a stage rally here in Southern Ohio, like Southern Ohio Forest Rally, I think it is. That's like all old logging roads.
Also, you guys get frozen lakes by you too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, up by him. Yep.
Yeah?
That sounds fun.
Hell yeah.
There's no rules.
No? Well,
rules.
Depends on the body of water.
Yeah. You can drive on it. It's like a boat.
except for they fucking sink, dude.
Make sure you got to make sure the ice is thick enough.
Lake Michigan, maybe.
You get a truck with a plow, and you just go out there and you plow the snow. You plow a little line. You can even do an oval just to kind of learn, or a figure eight.
Yeah,
just go do some ice driving. Yeah,
I love it, dude. We're gonna have to get out and hang out with you at one of these rally events here pretty soon.
Let's do it. Get you out here. Get you out the rally ready. Get you sliding around.
Hell yeah, dude.
Austin, Texas. Let's go.
It'll change your life.
I'm always down for a trip to Austin.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And then we'll get you, we'll have to hook up with you again and get you in a new age shifter cart.
Yeah, I owe you, Race.
Yeah, dude. We'll bring you out to a Stars race this year, and we'll throw you in one.
Oh, come on!
Film the whole thing.
Ribs or don't. It's too soon.
We
got. You got a couple months. You got a couple months.
3 or 4 months to heal up.
All right. As long as let me get some seat time in a cart. Let me get in there.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
Let's get
Obviously, I need some more seat time.
Sweet, dude.
Well, it's time.
Been it. It's time.
Let's party.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's been dope. Peace, guys.
I'll be in touch.
Perfect.
Later, brother.